What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today we are going to get into Aaron Rodgers planning to reach out to Haason Reddick, and Jeff Ulbrich is hinting at a new starter on the New York Jets defensive line.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
The New York Jets head down to Carolina to take on the Panthers in week 2 of the preseason. If you want to get in on the action, over on BetUS, the Jets are 1-point favorites in this game. So if you want to sign up using my link, you get a 125% match deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. You can get in on the fun over on BetUS. That's where I will be doing my gambling this NFL season. If you don't want to bet on the preseason, totally get it. If you wanted to wait, that's fine. But I think now's the time to get in on the fun and make your first deposit signing up with my code. All right, so let's get this thing rocking and rolling first with Rich Cimini saying that Aaron Rodgers will reach out to Haason Reddick. And, well, I think that's a good idea. Today is going to be a very Haason Reddick focused episode, as well as Jeff Ulbrich's comments on a particular player, and I think the Jets are doing some damage control in a way. It's all Haason Reddick based, and it's going to come down to the defensive line. But look, at the end of the day, we can get into these debates whether Haason Reddick is make or break for this team, if he's a luxury or a necessity or whatever. Moral of the story, I think we could all agree the New York Jets are a better football team with Haason Reddick playing versus not playing. So let's get him in the building. And Aaron Rodgers is a leader on this Jets football team. There's no denying that. So I, for one, am hoping that Aaron Rodgers does reach out and that maybe Haason Reddick listens a little bit. And, like I said in videos in the past covering this topic, I think Reddick deserves some blame for this. I'm not saying it's all Reddick, but he's not blame-free here. I don't love the advice that he's gotten on this one. I do think that he should report and they should work something out to make it a little bit more advantageous to Haason Reddick. I'm not saying just he's got the 15 million, F him and forget it. You can work with these guys. You don't have to be so stubborn and so blunt about it. I think that's not great for business. I think, again, there's room for both sides to kind of meet somewhere in the middle and get some agreement done because, as I mentioned, the Jets are a better team with Haason Reddick than without him. Also, kind of on the same page, not quite, but it all, again, links together. Jeff Ulbrich was talking about Micheal Clemons today, who, in the absence of Haason Reddick, has been starting, and the direct quote was that he's making the case to be a 3-down player. So is this a precursor for him, laying the groundwork, putting a feeler out there? You ever do that with somebody and be just float an idea out there and see how they react? Maybe that's what he's doing about the idea that, Haason Reddick could be a 3-down, that Micheal Clemons could be a 3-down player on this team in the absence of Haason Reddick. And I think that's not good for the Jets if that's the case. And honestly, we debated this last night on Talking Jets. If you missed it, I'm going to include some of the clips from last night's show in this episode because, one, it was an entertaining back and forth with Green Bean and I, and then we had a former Jet chime in too.
Fuck JFM. Can we just stop with the JFM stuff? By the way, JFM is an okay player who, I liked him fine. I have no gripes, but I didn't like him on the end. I thought he was he struggled to seal the edge, and he didn't give you all that much in the passing. He was a solid play. He's Mike DeVito. That's what JFM is.
I agree with that. He had 50 pressures last year. Micheal Clemons had 8.
JFM moving good. Who cares? Bring in Eric Watson and let's go. I don't give a shit.
That's crazy. That
You're
is
crazy.
Crazier things you've ever said on this show.
JFM is a jag.
That's insane. Come on. You don't even believe that, Green Bean.
I think those are kind of the two.
His cap hit now is $7.5 million. If the Jets offered him that would have been insane value for what he gives you. Javon Kinlaw is getting $8 million. That guy, you want to talk jag? Javon Kinlaw, he can't stay on the field. Now, I love Green Bean to death. He is like a brother to me. Same thing with Ryan. In this instance, I don't agree with Green Bean. I think he is way off on this one. And to compare Micheal Clemons, or excuse me, to compare John Franklin Myers to Mike DeVito is really disrespectful. And I'm sorry to Mike DeVito to say that. I like Mike DeVito. But even Mike DeVito, the former Jet, chimed in and was like, yeah, the JFM has me beat, which was just so funny. I absolutely loved that. But again, the point that this all is going back to on the Jets side of things, or where there's an issue for the New York Jets in this, is if Haason Reddick does not report. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think the most likely scenario is that he eventually comes and plays. But without Reddick in this defense, and without Bryce Huff in this defense, and without John Franklin Myers in this defense, yes, John Franklin Myers deserves to be included in that. Those are three key defensive linemen that you're without. You have Jermaine Johnson on one edge, who is the only edge that isn't a major question mark. Jermaine's a good football player, a very, very good football player. Will McDonald going into year 2, you could like his upside. I do. I like his upside as a pass rusher, but we don't know what that's going to look like in year 2, and I don't think he's an every down player yet. Micheal Clemons, I don't think is on the same level of what like a Jermaine Johnson or JFM is for what they offer in both the run game and the passing game. I think Clemons is okay against the run. In the pass, I don't think he gives you a whole lot. Maybe the dropping the weight helps him in that regard. But then after that, like Tack McKinley is a journeyman who's kind of bounced around the league, and you have a couple UDFAs that I like, but in a year where you're trying to win a Super Bowl and you're trying to go for it, do I want to be relying on those guys in big spots? Not really. They need a closer. They need that big edge rusher to help finish games. And Will McDonald could be a part of that, but Haason Reddick should also be a part of that. There's a reason why the Jets were active in trying to replace Bryce Huff when he left, right? Like the argument or the spin zone that we get from some Jet fans is that they don't need they'll be fine without Haason Reddick. The defense has been great the last 2 years without him. Well, if they don't need him, after losing Bryce Huff, why did they make it a priority then to go out and acquire another pass rusher who is considered one of the best pass rushers in football over the last 4 years and putting up double-digit sacks? I don't get, like, we don't have to do the mental gymnastics of trying to spin zone it into every single thing the Jets do, who, again, I'll remind you, they haven't made the playoffs in 13 years. They're not always right. And I'm not a negative fan. I think I at least I really do try to be as down the middle as humanly possible. And if they do something that I agree with, I will be the first one in line to say that. The Jets did this. I like it. Here's why. If they do something that's wrong, I think they deserve to be called on it. But in this instance, they traded for Clemons after losing Huff, which they traded for, staring at Micheal Clemons' name here. They traded for Haason Reddick after losing Bryce Huff because they knew that they needed another pass rusher. And now they're running a risk without him reporting. And if they have to play football games, like if they have to play the San Francisco 49ers without Haason Reddick in here, that's a really big problem. Again, and that's not throwing the towel, let's not try this year, but that they're not going to be as good on defense this year without having that elite level pass rusher. They're not. But with some sections of this fan base, you can't bring up the idea that Joe Douglas might not have done something good. I like Joe Douglas. I think he's a good GM. I'll say he's a good GM, an above average GM. But he's like Teflon Joe Douglas to some people. He can't do anything wrong. And that's I don't get it. And you have like people on the Jets essentially being the Jets mouthpiece for this It's just getting ugly. I just really want this to end so that we don't have to spin zone ourselves to talking ourselves into like Micheal Clemons being a starter and playing 60% of snaps this year and that being a good thing for our team, or having to rely on Eric Watts or Braden McGregor in a role that's just like not a developmental role, or being like, oh, Tech McKinley, he was a first round pick once like 8 years ago and he had a good camp, so he should be fine. We don't need Haason Reddick giving you 12 sacks a year for 4 years in a row. I can't wait for this one to be over. It's a frustrating debate. That's going to do it for me in this one. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. Thanks to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.